for that moment right there makes you grow up. In a 10-minute period, you're aging 10 years.
The story of Sonny Gray began in the small suburban town of Smyrna, Tennessee, where he became a high school football and baseball star. But he didn't get there on his own.
Ever since Sonny could pick up a baseball, they threw the baseball. They were throwing the baseball in the house. They would throw it any chance they got. They played baseball.
If we had free time in the summer, we would be getting in the back of his truck and we'd go to a baseball field.
Sonny and his father Jesse shared a special bond over sports, and it was Jesse's goal to teach his son the right way.
He was intense, competitive, nervous, pacing the whole time Sonny's pitching.
One of the things Jesse was, it was always about doing everything mechanically right. The way Sonny pitches, the way he executed on Friday night, and some of the things that he did, it was a lot of the traits of his father, Jesse.
August 26, 2004. Jesse Gray was driving home late at night from a second job that his children didn't even know about when he got in a serious car accident.
I remember just being asleep. Mom woke me up, woke my sisters up too, and said, your dad's been in an accident, we have to go to the hospital. So, we did, we got ready, we went, and, being a kid, not really knowing what's going on. We got to go and kind of see him, I guess. He was not there, but you could see. We went in this room and they told us he had passed away.
It was all a blur. It was hard.
After being removed from life support, Jesse passed away. He was 41 years old.
It shook me up so much because you hear about that stuff and you read about that stuff, but it never happens to you. I remember getting to Sonny's house. I'll never forget, Sonny was the first one to hug me, and he was the first one to be like, it's gonna be all right, man.
Then, 14-year-old Sonny made a decision in honor of his father that few expected.
I gotta go to school. And they're like, why? I was like, because if I don't go to school, then I can't play in the game tonight. Because they told me it wasn't, and then I was like, well, if my dad was here, what would he have wanted me to do?
Looking back on it, it doesn't surprise me at all now. As competitive as he was, and as competitive as Dad was. Anytime he had a chance to play, he'd want Sonny to play.
And I was like, Dad, you don't have to play football tonight. They'll understand if you don't play. He said, no, I want to. Daddy wouldn't want me to play, and I want to play. I've got to do it. I was like, okay, you want to play, you play. And I said, and I'll be there.
Somehow or another, this kid goes out and in tribute to his father, just literally puts on a show, a clinic.
I was not surprised in any way, shape, or form. I was not like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I'm like, what else would I expect from this dude on the same day?
That's been my happy place. That's been my comfort zone. That's been where you need to go if there's something going on. You always can go there.
That night was just the beginning of Sonny's football legacy. He quarterbacked Smyrna High School to unprecedented success in a town that had never won a state championship.
Sonny wanted to compete, and football and playing once a week in front of a large crowd and being out there on a stage, that just fueled Sonny. He loved that.
First time we've ever won a state championship in football was 2006, and Sonny was our junior, and then we were fortunate to win the next year in 2007. So those are the only football state championships we've had here at Smyrna High School.
Storybook. The Smyrna wasn't that big, and it was our turn, and Sonny was just a big part of that.
I always tell people that he was so Tom Brady-ish. His demeanor on the field, I never saw that kid get rattled one time.
Loved football, but I knew that it was probably going to be done after high school, and I'm okay with that.
Although his accomplishments on the gridiron made him a local superstar, his true passion was on the diamond, and his talent and determination matched that passion.
He's always been a good baseball player. When he was little, his daddy always let him play up with the older kids, and he hung right in there. You wouldn't have known he was younger than them.
First started his freshman year, and it's 92. And then Vanderbilt was, who's this kid? When's he graduate? Well, he's a freshman.
At Smyrna, we had a great group, great high school team, and the same year we were so good at football and winning the state championship. We were going to state for the first time in the school history in baseball.
Sonny's junior year, we were good, and Sonny was our horse. Sonny pitched the first round of the region tournament against Clarksville, and he threw what was probably one of the most dominant performances I'd ever seen in high school. We went 10 innings, he threw 9. Through 127 pitches, he strikes out 18. We end up winning 1-0.
With his triumphs in athletics well documented, Sonny tried his hand at something new, something different. Theater.
It really helped me as a person to really come out of my shell and really open up and to do things that sometimes can put you out of your comfort zone.
Not going to be on Broadway. He's definitely, his stage is an athletic field. He's always fun. He always is a good sport and gives it his all, no matter what he's doing.
He can't sing a lick. I mean, the guy is a disaster. He could have been up there in a potato sack and the girls were all going to scream because he just had that smile, so it didn't matter what he did on stage.
Kind of Beatlemania with Sonny. They're screaming as he comes out. He's singing because he's the lead part of the play, and he's horrible, but he thinks he's got a good voice, which is why he's a good player.
Like, if I'm going to do it, then I need to try and do it as best as I can. It's not going to be great, but I need to do as best as I can. And I think people couldn't believe it at first that I was going to do it, and then what are you going to say when somebody, you going to tell me I'm bad? I don't care. Like, I did it, you know? That was the biggest part, was just doing it.
Theater was different. Football was fun, but baseball was his future. And after posting gaudy numbers his junior year of high school, major league teams began courting Sonny. But they weren't the only ones.
5'9", athletic, thin, long blonde hair, pitched like he was 6'7", 220 pounds. I mean, it was absolutely zero fear about what he was doing. Looked like it.
The first time I ever met him was in the bullpen at Vanderbilt. He was a spectator at a game. I had no idea who he was. I had a bullpen after the game. He was there. It's kind of like this little kid with spiked blonde hair, and he asked me how hard the guy was throwing. He said he throws 90. He says, I throw 90 right now. And I said, what's your name? He goes, I'm Sonny Gray.
So funny, like a couple weeks later, came and watched me pitch one day, and I think like it clicked. He was like, that's who we're watching, that little crap head that was talking all that junk.
I don't care where they draft me. He goes, I'm going to Vandy.
We encouraged him to go to Vanderbilt. We wanted him to have that education, have that experience, get ready for life, not just baseball.
I remember Coach Corbin and Maggie saying, like, when you're here, like, I'm going to treat him like my son. And Maggie said the same thing, like, I'm going to treat him like my son.
My wife and I attended the Church of Sonny for about 3 years.
You know, you could just tell how athletic and just how good he was going to be.
DJ always would try to put your mind in a larger atmosphere. Like, so for me, he always said, what are you going to do when you're pitching at Yankee Stadium in front of 50,000 fans and everyone's screaming and the atmosphere is crazy? What are you going to do? It's so cool now looking back, and it's just like, hey, you know, what am I going to do when I'm pitching in the big leagues at Yankee Stadium, and here I am.
He won state championships in high school. He pitched in the College World Series for Vanderbilt. He was a first-round draft selection by the Oakland A's. But those who know him best know that's only a part of what makes Sonny Gray, Sonny Gray.
Very proud of him. I couldn't ask for anything more.
I'm so proud of Sonny. I'm so lucky to know Sonny and his family.
He was never a guy that you disliked. Sonny was a guy that you wanted on your team. You wanted him in the locker room. You wanted to go hang out with him because he was a great kid.
When he steps in the room, when he's on the mound, anywhere, he just kind of got that swag about him where you know, like, he's legit.
You mentioned Sonny Gray's name, and they know exactly who you're talking about.
He just has that look in the name of legendary status, Sonny Gray. Everyone knew Sonny Gray when Sonny Gray was in the 9th grade.
He was good to everybody in high school that he encountered. He always has time for everybody that comes and talks to him. He comes back now. He's still the same.
It's almost like that legacy from high school to Vanderbilt, now to Oakland, and then to New York. It's like a continuation of a book that you're reading, and you don't ever think it's ever going to end. And it may not.
Sonny is as good a person as he is a player. And there's only one person who would be more proud than anyone else.
I know Jesse's just sitting back, hands behind his head, feet kicked up, smiling, understanding that, you know, this is what we worked for. This is what we did it for.
There's a lot that we wanted to do that we didn't get the chance to do, but just continues to be up to me and up to my support staff and my family that we can continue to go down a road to make him proud, and that's kind of what I shoot for and what I try to do every single day. There's not a better feeling than being gone and then coming through the door, and no matter where he's at in the house, Daddy, Daddy, and he loses his mind and he runs wherever he is and he gives you a big hug, and it's really not a better feeling in the world. But I didn't get the good, like, coaching gene that he had, and I try to think back so many times, and I just try to think, what did he do when we did this, and what did he do when we did this? So I try to think about that all the time, and it's just going to be hard to duplicate what he did.